The Travelling Gourmet teaches us how to match the giant lychee with wine. We also find out how New Zealand wines are different from French wines and how wine can have sexy legs. How do you choose out of all the wines today that particular wine? Thank you.
Welcome. Well, because lychee is normally quite sweet, and these are dessert wines, so the residual sugar is normally quite high. So I thought the sweetness would go well with this. Also, the Riesling profile has elements of tropical fruit from New Zealand Riesling.
You can tell just by the colour of that wine, it's quite sweet. It's got a caramelly sort of appearance.
And you see, if you do like this, and then you let it run back, you can see what we call the legs. So sometimes we say the wine has very sexy legs.
What does that tell you about the wine? Does it tell you about
It's the viscosity and the amount of glycerol and alcohol in the wine.
Just on the nose, it's very toffee-ish. If you stick it up to your nose,
with some caramel
some caramel and butterscotch sort of.
I like that smell.
Very nice smell, yeah. Very nice. So this one very good match. See the toffee, the caramel, butterscotch and the sweetness of the lychee with the texture. And if you have ever had lychee creme brulee, you can have a wine like this with a lychee creme brulee very well.
Since it's such a new industry, is there such thing as aged wines?
The French are very good at making a wine style that's suited for cellaring. The more modern New Age wine countries, particularly New Zealand, we're renowned for producing wines that are suited for drinking quite young. So yes, there are wine companies and winemakers that make wine that's suited for putting down and cellaring for years to come and enjoy later, because some wines do improve in the bottle with aging, but typically a lot of New Zealand wine styles are suited for drinking very fresh.
What I gather from you guys is that what makes New Zealand wine different from what other wines are available in supermarkets is that they are made to be drunk while they're young. Is that correct?
But they also have a lot of personality. There's a lot of New Zealand wine companies are small, artisan style, handcrafted. So you can tell with drinking New Zealand wine that there's a lot of passion, a lot of love gone into making that wine. So yes, we use innovation, yes, we use technology and production scale side of things, but you can also interpret a lot of personality, point of difference with the wines. The winemakers are very, very passionate about what they do, and they are quite unique, and we're a little bit more adventurous in our winemaking techniques, and yeah, that's a good point of difference for New Zealand.
So how would you describe what makes New Zealand wine so special?
Actually, the main thing I think is the terroir. They have a very unique terroir, and then the islands to the southern part, and they're surrounded by the sea, so they have a temperate maritime climate. And this leads to like cool nights where the fruit can mature to its full maturity. And so you have a lot of all these very vibrant and aromatic characteristics like the gooseberries and things like that coming out. So that's one of the main reasons why New Zealand wines are special in that way. The other reason is that they don't have in France they have the AOC, what they call the Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée.
And what does that mean?
That's like a strict regulation of what you can do, what's the yield and so on and so forth.
Like what you mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah, it's basically governed by tradition. So
New World wines, they have a freedom from all these things, so they can basically just do whatever they like.
We can be a lot more experimental.
Yeah,
so what we do. We're not having
sometimes
to conform to tradition and rules and regulations like they do in France, for example.
So the New Zealand wine is the edgy wine on the market, is that right? It's the hip and happening wine? Is that what
say that,
We match the giant lychee with the dessert wine. Stay tuned for the biggest challenge of the day. We match durian with wine.